Class 11. Today we will be discussing about liberty. Okay, so I have already circulated this PDF regarding this what chapter, and I will be explaining this one. So whatever the things that I am discussing in this concepts in module, it's there in your syllabus, so kindly make notes accordingly. Okay, so concepts in module in today's lecture we will be discussing about the introduction, meaning, dimensions, kinds of liberty, relationship between liberty and law, and safeguards of liberty, that is fundamental rights. So let's understand what is liberty. Human history provides many examples of people and community which have fought dominance or enslavement or exploitation by more powerful groups. So every now and then, like, we have to relate back to history, okay, to understand why certain revolutions were there, why certain wars were fought. Okay, because India also had a fought India independence war. India's independence war. So it is about it is a greatest example about how our communities fought with British power. Okay, British power, exploitations were there, enslavement were also there. Okay, so on that note only we will be understanding the notions of liberty. So let's understand the word liberty. The term liberty is derived from a Latin word liber, which means free. Okay, it is a free, which means free. The meaning of the word liberty is absence of restraint and liberty for individual. Okay, liberty is absence of restraint. So let's understand the meaning of restraint. In normal, like in layman term, I can give you a meaning of restraint is with something that is under control, something which is under control. So the meaning of the word liberty is absence of restraint, means something is not under control. And liberty for individual thus means that for an individual, it means that he or she should be free from restraint. He or she should be free from restraint means that he or she should not be under control. But this is very unclear that fully unrestrained liberty is not possible in human society. Okay, so it is the fact there are two facts. Okay, under control and not under control. So these are the two facts. Okay, one is that people or he or she should not be under control, but in a society that is not that is also not valid, that there should not be people should not be there unrestrained, because some things should be followed and some restraints should be there. Okay, the word liberty is rich in connotations, means meanings. Okay, and has suggested different ideas at different times. So the liberty has a rich meaning, and whatever the situation of that particular thing in the certain ages or certain period of time is different, it changes. Okay, so the definition given by D.D. Ralph says that freedom means absence of restraint. A man is free so far as he is not restrained. So freedom means absence of restraint. D.D. Ralph says, means when we have when people are when there is an absence of restraint, freedom is automatically guaranteed to one individual. Okay, a man is free till how much a man is free, means he is not restrained from doing what he wants to do or what he would choose to do. Okay, if a person is given a chance that he is not restrained, okay, he is not it says that whatever he wants to do, whatever he wants to choose, if that person gets this kind of freedom, then liberty is there. Okay, the idea of a choice itself implies a kind of freedom. So if a person has a choice, okay, and if I particularly being I have a personal choice, and if I want to do certain things regarding particular things. Now if this person A has to do has a choice of being a politician. So he has a right, okay, he has a choices, he can make his own choices of being a politician. So if there is no restraint, then he can be, okay, choice in a selection of one possibility among others, okay. There are numerous choices also, but he prefers to be a politician, then it is his freedom, okay. There are multiple choices also, but if his preferences of being politician is there and no one is restraining him, then he has its freedom. Now, dimensions of liberty. Let's understand dimensions of liberty. Dimensions of liberty can be understood in negative liberty and positive liberty. So let's understand what is negative liberty. Negative liberty is due to the absence of external constraint. Due to the absence of external constraint, negative liberty is achieved due to absence of external constraints. So external constraint means like control over, okay, a little control over. I can give you that example I can give you is that a thirst upon a company because the company has no or little control over the constraint, okay. Whatever the things, no, like little or no power to hold that constraint. So negative liberty specifies as minimum areas of non-interference for every individual. Negative liberty says that there should not be any interference of an individual, whatever he or she is doing in the society. And negative liberty protects human dignity, whereas positive liberty due to expansion of opportunities to seek oneself. And in positive liberty, in a society there are different opportunities, and if that opportunities will benefit the one particular person, then he can express his positive liberty. Positive liberty is concerned with improving conditions of development of individual personality. So if the liberty is giving you a positive aid, then you can go for a positive, that is considered as a positive liberty. Now, kinds of liberty can be like natural liberty, civil liberty, political liberty, economic liberty, and national liberty. So let's understand one by one what are these liberty. Coming to natural liberty, okay. Natural liberty is the absence of all restraint, means there is no any hard and fast rule. No one will question about what are the choices that you are taking. According to natural liberty of an individual can do whatever he likes. Natural liberty says that a person can do whatever the thing that he or she has a choice, or he or she likes. But such concept of liberty is illusionary. So whatever be, okay, if I want to give you an example, like if a person A is there and a person B is there, and a person has a liberty to do whatever he wants, there is no restriction. But if a person in a society smuggles drugs, is this smuggling of drugs is good in a society? So this kind of liberty is also there, but this is illusionary because free from restraint, okay. So if it is allowed, now if this liberty, person A wants to smuggle drugs in a society, what happens then after the repercussions, okay? If it is allowed, it will create chaos and confusion in the society, in the country, okay. So the certain liberties that person wants to exercise is not good in a society, then it will automatically create confusion, chaos in a society or a country. It was existed before the emergence of society and state. Before it was there, okay, but after the emergence of state, that kind of liberty is not propagated by a state. Soon after the state came into existence, natural liberty disappeared. So there are natural liberty used to be there because state was not there and people were very free. People didn't have any rational thinking. They did whatever they wanted. But after the emergence of state, these kind of things disappeared because there is a lobby by the state. Okay, it may be easily understood that this kind of liberty is no liberty at all, as much as it is an euphemism or a freedom for the forest. So this is just an for your understanding. Okay, so it is not applicable to life of a man as a social being. So it is not applicable. Natural liberty in today's world, it's not applicable. Now, civil liberty. Civil liberty means the rule of law. That rule of law means whatever the constitution has given, we have to abide the rules and regulations of that country. It is a duty of state to punish those who violate civil liberties of individual. So it is state is there, and state will be there to look after those people who offends the civil liberties of others. This liberty is possible in all civilized state. Okay, civil liberty can be found in all civilized state. It took birth out civil rights. Civil liberty it came out from civil rights. It means that limitation of powers of government by established law, whether it be in the form of written constitution or in form of judicial precedent and conventions under which law is applied equally and impartially all. So these civil liberties are like given by the government, and it is in the form of written constitution or in a form of judicial precedents or conventions that we have that our country follow. Okay, and it is this kind of civil liberties are applied equally over all the citizens residing on that territory. This type of liberty working in Britain and also in our country, that is India. Civil liberty in our country implies the absence of partiality on the basis of caste, creed, race, treating all men as equal. So civil liberty means that in India we practice that irrespective of whatever your caste, color, creed, race, religion be, all must be treated as equal. So in India and in Britain also civil liberties are followed. Now, political liberty. Political liberty means that the people have a voice in a government. Means people have their own representative. They can talk, they can criticize the leaders, and they can voice their own issues to the government. It includes right to hold public office, right to vote, and right to criticize the government also, as I've already discussed. Okay, political liberty essentially associated with democracy. So it is associated with democracy because democracy gives us right to vote, right to speak. So many fundamental rights are also there. So many things are there that democracy gives. Democracy is freedom for all, self-rule, etc. So political liberty is essentially totally associated with democracy. Now let's understand what is economic liberty. The word economic itself means that it has to do with the standard of living of people, etc. Okay, freedom from want and right to work are regarded as economic and social liberty. So what people have, like if a person in a country, people have in India, we have economic liberty, as we can choose own profession, we can work, etc. Okay, so freedom from job, freedom to form or join trade unions, freedom of political asylum, freedom to choose our trade profession, etc. comes under economic liberty. As I say that each person has their own economic liberty. He has his own choices to join a job, to join a trade union, or do whatever the trade he wants, to profess any kind of profession he wants. It comes under economic liberty. Okay, there is no democracy in a particular country without economic liberty. So if economic liberty is not there, there is no democracy. Okay, there is much truth in the statement that the political liberty has no meaning without economic liberty. So if economic liberty is not there, democracy is not there, then ultimately political liberty will also be not there if democracy is not. It is a chain reaction. Okay, Unless the difference between rich and poor is removed, the government shall controlled by the rich. So if if there is like rich and poor is there, okay, but whatever the thing is, the government will be only controlled by the rich, because there is no difference. Okay, so economic liberty should be there. Political liberty without economic liberty is nothing but the right of the capitalist to deprive the workers of their due share in a public wealth. So if political liberty is not there, what happens then? All the capitalist industrialist capitalist leaders will not give the equal payment to the people, because people will be deprived of their share. Whatever they are doing their work, they will be not there, because political liberty talks about criticizing the government, right? We can choose our representative and take part in elections, etc. Okay, so this is economic liberty. Everything is related to each other. Now let's understand what is national liberty. National liberty is synonymous with national independence. As such, it implies that no nation should be under the subjugation of another. Means national liberty means no any other country has control over the other country, because a country or a state is sovereign. Supreme power lies in their state. For instance, the America gained national liberty in 1776 and Indians in 1947. So we got independence. We are not under subjugation. We were under the subjugation of British or East India Company. But after 1947, what happened? We fought a war. Independence. There are so many revolts, and ultimately in 1947 we achieved our independence. Thus, national movement of war of independence can be identified as struggle for attainment of national liberty. So whatever the independence, whatever the wars that were for, whatever the incident that happened for independence, it can be identified as the attainment of national liberty. For this reason, love for national liberty is identified with patriotism. So patriotism and national liberty are closely linked, because it is like for the love for our nation, love for one's nation, it's related with national liberty. Historical evidences shows that love for one's country is deep-seated in human hearts, as a result of which millions of people lay down their lives for the sake of honor and security of motherland. Still, this is still pursuing. Army peoples are going to protect our motherland every day. Okay, so it is out of national liberty. Okay, so safeguards of liberty. Now let's understand the safeguards of liberty. Means that absence of special privileges. The first necessary safeguard is that there should be no special presence of special privileges. Means there should not be any special preferences. Okay, all persons must be considered as equal before the law. There should not be any impartiality. There should not be any nepotism. All people should be equal and given equal opportunities. All people should have equal access to power. No person should inherit any special privileges merely because he happens to be born in a rich family. Okay, so all persons born in a country who follows liberties, it's like there should not be any unequal access to opportunity or powers. It should be equal to every individual residing in that territory. And it doesn't mean that if a person has inherited certain privileges, if let's consider if this person is very rich, okay, rich, and he wants to be a president, then very rich, then his son, if it is a president, okay, then his son also wants to become a president merely just by he is a son of A. That doesn't count. Okay, but one should be like the liberty is totally about free from nepotism, etc. Okay, so these are the safeguard. Let's understand the presence of right. The second condition for the realization of liberty is the presence of rights. Means we are talking about safeguard of liberty. Safeguard of liberty. Okay, so the second condition means there should be presence of right. There cannot be liberty where the right of some depends upon the pleasure of others. Okay, so there should, if liberty is to be there, then what happens means right also should be there. Okay, and that right should not be in the pleasure of others. No person should be strong enough to take away the right of ordinary person or ordinary citizen. So I am not the one. I don't have any authority to take your rights. Okay, so person whatever be cannot seize taking others right. Now it in most of the modern constitution, right, constitutes an important part of written document. This gives us sacred place and special sanctity. So every part around the world, every country has their own constitution, be it written or unwritten constitution. But in written document, it gives a sense of security to those person, because it gives a sacred place and special sanctity for that every person should be treated equal, and should not any powerful person cannot cannot take out someone's right. Freedom and free and fair election means the people should have freedom to choose their and control their rulers. That's very simple. For this, now we have free and fair election system, and these elections held periodically on the basis of universal adult franchise. That is election for 5 years. That is very simple. Now, independence of judiciary. We are talking about safeguard only. Okay, independence and impartial judiciary also guards the rights of the people. Now, if judiciary is under the control of legislature or executive, then the rights of the people will not be secure. So independence of judiciary is must, and one should not be like impartial. Okay, judiciary is an organ of a government, but it should be very impartial. So judiciary should not be under the control of either legislature or legislative organ or executive organ. Now, separation of power. According to Montesquieu, for security of individual liberty, functions of the government should be divided into 3 organs of the government and should be headed by separate persons independent to each other. So, now it's very easy. The Montesquieu has said that in order to ensure individual liberty, government functions should be divided into different organs, that is legislature, executive and judiciary, and these three organs should be independent from each other. It is a site of tyranny when 3 powers of a government are concentrated in the hands of single person. So if this person has the power of legislature, power of executive and power of judiciary, then that person or that country will be totally under the hands of tyrannical or a dictatorial form of government, where the liberty cannot be exercised. So separation of powers are necessary for the liberty for a democracy. This I have already cleared. Now, rule of law. Everyone should be equal before the law, irrespective of his richness, poverty and social disabilities. So that is very easy. Rule of law have special importance. The will of the people, moreover, practically means the will of the most numerous or the most of the active part of the people, the majority. So the rule of law gives a mandate that the most active as well as most numerous supports one agenda, then that will be called as a majority. So there can be tyranny sometimes also. Okay, the rule of law also provides protection against it. If that particular person has become very tyrannical or dictator, this rule of law will act as a barrier and protects everyone. Now, let's understand the relationship between law and liberty. Okay, it is described in 2 ways, positive as well as negative. So in positive, law limits liberty. Law limits liberty. In negative connotation, let's understand the negative connotation. Law is the means by which state exercises force and limits liberty of the people. Individualistic, syndicalist and anarchist holds the view that law limits liberty. These are the groups that says that law limits liberty. Anarchists Anarchists argue that perfect liberty is possible only in a free society where there is no state, no religion, and a private property. Okay, and anarchist says that if there is no liberty, no state, no religion, and no private property, then only we will achieve a perfect liberty. They advocate the elimination of state for liberty. In order, they says that this particular group says that in order to achieve liberty, state should not be there. They support individualism, regard the state as a necessary evil, and its spheres of functioning should be minimum. Now this negative view of liberty says that in order to be they prefer individualism. They consider state as a evil. Okay, so state should not be there in functioning, then only liberty will achieve. To them, law imposes restraint while liberty is absence of restraint. They say law imposes restraint, means control, but on the other side, liberty is the absence of constraint. They says that they support this agenda. Now, positive view. In positive view, we can learn that more the number of laws in society, greater is the liberty. So, the positive perspective says that if there are number of laws in a society, then we can achieve liberty. This view is held by the idealists like Hegel. Hegel supports this. Law creates liberty in a positive view. State through its law and activities creates liberty. Law and liberty are compatible. Laws are rationally and historically tested restraints necessary for the full enjoyment of rights and liberty. Laws lay down rules and regulation of the behavior of people. It says that laws will refine the rules and regulations of the people, because people will be frightened about the laws that are set by the country. Laws give legal protections to the rights and freedom of other people also. No one can infringe each other's rights that are given by the constitution. If the rights are infringed, then the law acts as a mediator and punishes the violator. Law lays down codes of conduct in a society, how persons should be there, what are the things that you should be following, that are the codes of conduct. And if the codes of conduct in a society is good, then there will be there will be no chaos in a society. By maintaining order, law makes possible for a people to enjoy its liberty. So these are the simple things, that how law creates history, how this law and liberty are compatible in a positive view. The word itself says positive, so you need to write all positive aspects. So I have completed the whole chapter of liberty. Compile your notes. Stay safe and take care.